Hi everybody. So one of the questions I get asked quite a lot is what storage, what extra storage do I need to make my Xbox Series S more of a viable console once I've started downloading lots of games, and especially once I start downloading lots of Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S enhanced games. So I've got a few options kind of laid out for you here. So the big catch with the Xbox Series S is that once you've got it fired up and the operating system's on, you've only got about, I think it's about 380 gigabytes worth of storage, which isn't very much at all. I mean, if you think, that Xbox One S has got 500 gig, and that one has got, I've actually put a 2 terabyte hard drive in my old PlayStation 4, so it's very limited. And with new games, they're very, very big. So if you wanted to have, for example, the latest Call of Duty and the latest Battlefield and the latest Back for Blood or something, very soon you're going to run out of space. So what I have plugged into my Xbox Series S are 3 drives. Okay, so let's start off with the simplest one, which is this one here. So this is a 1 terabyte SSD, and it actually connects to the back of the Xbox using this USB extender. Now, that 1 terabyte SSD I use to store last gen games. And the Xbox Series S is incredibly good at playing Xbox One games. So DayZ, PUBG, any of the thousands of those sorts of games. And they will play perfectly fine, in fact, very well off an external SSD. So I definitely recommend you get one of those. Or you could use an external normal HDD hard disk drive, as long as it's a USB external one, and you'll find loads of these on Amazon. This is an old Toshiba one. And again, you just plug this in and it will work. Now, the advantage of the SSD is that it's faster, so things load in quicker. If you play, for example, games like PUBG or DayZ, games that probably aren't that well optimized and never have been, an SSD is a worthwhile investment. And you can fit many, many, many games on that 1 terabyte SSD, loads and loads, more than you would probably need. And that kind of comes on, talking about PUBG and DayZ, especially PUBG, that comes on to this little beauty. Now, this is a 256 gigabyte SSD, and again, this plugs into my Series S at the front. Now, this one I use for game capture. With the Xbox Series S and the X, you can capture up to an hour of gameplay, definitely at 1080p, 60 frames a second, because that's what my TV runs at. Maybe if you're running a 4K TV, it's a different resolution, but I don't know. But you can definitely record up to an hour of 1080p, 60 frames a second onto an external drive. Now, I would recommend an SSD for the external drive because that can record faster, which means that probably you will get less hitches and audio sync problems. I haven't done any firm testing with this, but I know from experience with my laptop that having an SSD to record to can help. I mean, you could use a HDD, the cheaper hard disk drives, but the solid state drives are definitely faster. And I happen to have this one because I used to use this one with my Xbox One S to play PUBG when it first came out. Because PUBG, when it first came out, was not optimized very well. And if you played it off an SSD, things would load in faster and you wouldn't fall through the map and stuff like that. So that one is purely for recording gameplay. Do remember, though, that when you do record gameplay on your Xbox Series S, it just records the gameplay and the game sound. It doesn't record your voice. Say you're playing a game like, say like Hell Let Loose, where there's a lot of chat going on. It will record the chat of other people, but it won't record yours. So that's something maybe they'll patch in. Hopefully they will. Now, as far as prices go for this sort of stuff, you can pick up I don't know if you can still get 256 gig SSDs, but they tend to be reasonably priced, so between £50 and £100, probably $50 and $100 in the USA. A 1 terabyte SSD is going to be a bit more expensive. You're probably talking about £100, maybe $120. Hard disk drives, though, aren't that expensive at all. So you could probably get a terabyte hard disk drive or bigger for probably sort of between £50 and £70, maybe even less. Just make sure it's an external USB hard drive. And that way, you're sorted for old gen games, last gen games, and your and your game captures. Now, you've probably seen this little bad boy sitting around. So this is the Seagate 1 TB expansion card that goes into the Xbox Series S or the Xbox Series X. This thing expands the internal memory up to, well, another terabyte. The thing is, with the new Xbox Series S and Series X games, is they have to run off the super fast, I think it's NVMA drives, SSD that's inside these beasts. And those drives are incredibly expensive to buy. So if you come up against which you will do, the sort of 380 to 390 gigabyte limit on your Xbox Series S, or if you've got an X, I think it's probably 750 gigabytes, and you want to install more games, more Series S and X games, which have to run off that, what you can do is you can copy the games off the internal memory to your external SSD. Now, they won't run from the external SSD, but they'll just sit there, and then when you want to play them, you copy them back and copy them backwards and forwards. But if you want to be able to simply expand the memory, you need to buy one of these, and this simply just slots into the back. You just push it into the back, and that gives you an extra terabyte of memory on your Xbox Series S. The catch, the cost. This thing, costs £200, which is, it's a ridiculous amount when you think that the Series S itself only costs £200. So you could buy another Series S for another 50 quid, for another 150 quid. If they're available, I could have got a PlayStation 5 digital edition, and it makes the total cost of the Xbox Series S very similar to the total cost of an Xbox Series X. Undoubtedly, you've got a little bit more memory because you've got a terabyte and a half. So think long and hard. Now, I have seen, and they may be out by now by the time you come to watch this video, images of a 500 gig version of this particular expansion, which hopefully will be round about half the price, which would kind of put it on a par with buying these sorts of things. But it's expensive. But the decision I made was that because I wasn't going to get a PlayStation 5, because you simply cannot get hold of them, and I wanted to be able to quickly play the Xbox Series S, Series X enhanced games, the new games, then I simply had to get one of these. So just to kind of recap then, for expanding the storage of the console to put lots and lots of last gen games on, then I've got an external SSD USB that plugs in there, but you could use an external HDD as well. That way it's a little bit cheaper. For game capture recording, I use an external SSD. Again, you could use an external HDD. Again, it's got to be USB, but that I would recommend an SSD for that high recording speed. And then to expand the storage for the superfast NVMA storage that's required for the newest games that are Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X enhanced, then it's the Seagate 1 TB memory expansion card, or smaller ones that hopefully they'll be bringing out, so they're a little bit more affordable. Okay, so that's it really. If you've got any questions about that sort of thing, just let me know. I enjoy doing these videos to let everybody know what's going on. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.